Okay, we'll look at limbs, starting off with arms before we get on to legs, because arms are simpler. So let's have a look at a basic arm. I'll just add a single arm in here, it can be a child of the main root, and there it is. Right, okay, arms have, of course, IK option to them, and like anything that uses IK, that doesn't include, of course, the spine IK, because the spine IK is, it's only a single move IK, it's not a chain like this. You must have pre-bend in your rig, one way or the other, depending on which direction you wish the IK to bend in. Arms often want to be FK, and by default they'll generate in FK, but of course you can just select them anytime you want, and of course switch them over to IK behaviour, or of course IK FK if you prefer, and you get good old regular IK goal and pole behaviour there. What you'll notice with the IK limbs is that the endpoints will have a reach effect. So you notice, of course, that the hand bone there stays locked to the IK goal, apart from when it comes over extension. And then, similar to the way that the foot rig does its nice little reaching into the IK goal space, so will the hand. It means that when you pull away during animation, if you do overextend your IK, the hand will not just sit rock solid, which can look a bit unusual during animation. You normally have to put additional little animation onto the hand itself in order to make it look like it's pulling off as you go into overextension. This will of course do it for you. Like most of the IK systems, you always have an offset on the IK goal, which you would normally use for rotations, because of course this goal being in world mode, it's easy to get into gimbal lock with it, and you can then of course use the offset if you wish to rotate freely on the extra axis. You'll also usually have an IK actual item, which is the actual item that is being goaled for, and whenever you pull that around you can see that the end item, in this case the hand, is dodging around within the actual goal space itself. This again, it's useful for creating little nuanced motions at the end of an IK chain. It's not always necessary, like any other controller. If you don't want to use it, just don't use it. It's that simple. Okay, so let's add another arm now, and for this we're going to look at the zeroed option. So I'll check that, and I'll add an arm. That'll just be the main root as well, and we'll bring it, let's bring it down, shall we? And let's just rig fit that. Let me just put a bit more pre-bend in it first. Let me just shove that there. There we go. Okay, rig fit. What the zero option does, it zeroes things out for us. Certain items that need them, like the hand here, or of course the shoulder itself, will have a little FK offset, and so of course that puts the upper arm bone here, or the main hand bone itself, automatically at 0. But bones midway down the chain won't have that. So if we look at the elbow here, which does of course have pre-bend on it, you can see that it has a pitch value of 28.9. This elbow has 0, because of course I checked zeroed. There's an extra little item in there that zeroes this rotation off. It's not always necessary. Most of the time I wouldn't even require it, but the option is there if you want for all items to have an absolute 0 to them, which can sometimes be helpful for getting back to base pose in an emergency. So let's leave that off, have a look at the girdle option. Girdle, let's add an arm here, will give you, funnily enough, a girdle, which in arms is like a collarbone, of course. Let's move this up here, and you'll see you get this little marker appear for the girdle itself there. So let's go over and take a little peek at this fella, and we'll just rig fit him, and we'll convert him here into IK as well, because it just sort of helps to demonstrate the girdle itself. And what you get with the girdle, the bone is coloured black because it's never an FK controlled bone. It's still a weighted bone, so of course normally this would be bound to your mesh, of course, just like the blue bones. That is why in this bones nulls rig that item is actually shown for us. But it's coloured black because you don't operate on it directly. It has a little controller here, which of course was marked out by the controller marker there. So of course, if you've got this girdle would normally of course be rooted somewhere inside the character's chest. That allows you to put the control out somewhere where you can easily get to it. And as you can see, that control then gives you your collarbone activity going on just like that. What you can notice with arms is that by default, arms are in their local space as refers to their twist. So you see the pole item here, that is actually going along as the girdle moves and rotates and turns. As we twist our girdle there, the arm is rotating with it because of course the pole is going along. The pole is parented into this system, but obviously it's not parented into the actual arm itself like this. This is a local space twist for the arm. But of course that is just the default. As was mentioned in the earlier video, if you want to set your character up so as perhaps this is a world space controller, or perhaps you want to have it in the main character space, you could parent this off to the main root, or what you like. Where you have the pole parented is entirely your decision. Lastly, of course, you have this option to add fingers to the hand. Put in the number of fingers that you want, the number of phalanges per finger, and they'll just be generated for you. Nothing special to know there, other than of course the details of finger digits themselves, which we will see when we talk about digits.